Alright, so this is a suggestion via Patreon. The name of the video is Astronauts Confess About Mysterious Things They've Seen and Experienced in Space. Let's check it out. Let's see where this takes us, guys.
Anyone who has ever had the indescribable good fortune to fly into space has always described the experience as incomparably memorable. The majestic view of our
Obviously
home planet as it spins in space, so quiet and peaceful from a distance, is likely to have left a lasting impression on all astronauts. However, not all reports of the space travelers' experiences paint such a peaceful picture. In fact, some astronauts have already reported inexplicable, sometimes eerie experiences that have happened to them while in space. Now you too can hear about the mysterious reports that have made our jaws drop. Subscribe to our channel and join us on our galactic journey to the most amazing phenomena and mysteries of space. Be sure to give us a thumbs up to show that you like the content of our videos. Now let's take a look together at the controversial statements made by some astronauts that made big headlines.
coming from the channel Simply Space, guys.
Unexplained Objects. It's May 5th, 1981, as cosmonaut Vladimir Kovalyanok completes his work on the Salyut orbital space station. When he looks out of the porthole of his spacecraft during his subsequent return flight, he can't believe his eyes. The almost unbelievable phenomena that Kovalyanok observed during his spaceflight were described by the cosmonaut 10 years later at a public press conference. He described an indefinable object that seemed to defy the rules of physics completely. The object had an elliptical shape and seemed to rotate rapidly. After a few moments, the apparition went out in a golden explosion. A second detonation followed, at the end of which two golden shimmering spheres appeared. Subsequently, the cosmonaut perceived a white smoke formation before his spacecraft finally entered the twilight zone of Earth, and the amazing phenomena disappeared from the space traveler's field of vision.
All right, so generally I try to sit here and explain some of the things, but this one here, I'm not sure I can. That's just an odd one. All right, that's just odd. That's not space junk, guys. All right.
Curious music. In May 1969, preparations for the first manned lunar landing were in full swing. 2 months before Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot on the Earth satellite, the crew of Apollo 10 visited the immediate reaches of the moon to conduct a dress rehearsal for the planned lunar visit. Thus, astronauts Tom Stanford, Gene Cernan, and John Young were busy examining the Earth-facing side of the moon from a distance of about 9 miles. While the astronauts were taking photos of the lunar landscape, however, mysterious noises were emanating from their headphones. In fact, it seemed as if the inexplicable sounds were making a melody. No one could explain what was producing the mysterious moon music. In all, the phenomenon lasted for more than an hour. Official statements later said that the sounds were probably due to radio interference.
Yeah, I would have called that also, bro. Okay. Initially, I was waiting for them to say something absolutely ridiculous. Like they went out, walked on the moon, and they heard noise. Bro, you hear no noise on the moon. There's no oxygen. There's nothing for the sound waves to kind of latch on to. I was ready to call it out, bro, but through the headphones, that makes all the sense in the world. There's some type of interference happening.
However, the astronauts involved, who were used to technical disturbances of this kind, said they had never heard anything like it before. UFOs at the moon landing? Maurice Chatelain, the former head of NASA's communications systems, published the controversial book Our Cosmic Ancestors in 1975. As the title of the work suggests, the retired NASA employee was an advocate of so-called pre-astronautics. This parascientific thesis pursues the approach that the Earth was populated many millennia ago by extraterrestrial intelligences.
Oh yeah, probably us. Right, I think, guys, really quickly, I think we're the aliens, all right? The aliens are coming to visit us, or a different iteration of man. I'm talking about men before 12,800, all right? Those men, the ones who were here, they must have been some type of potentially technologically sound, or even a million years ago. You know how old Earth is, guys? With the first versions? Are you sure? I'm not. I wasn't there, right? But I do think that if the aliens are coming to visit us, they're probably us, or something like us, or something that we once were, at least, right? Most likely. That's where I'm at.
Which had active exchange with humans at that time. Monumental buildings like the Egyptian pyramids or the world-famous Stonehenge are said to indicate the ancient visitors. One passage in Our Cosmic Ancestors in particular caused heated discussions. The section tells of the last moments before the manned moon landing in 1969. While Neil Armstrong was descending the ladder of the spaceship, 2 UFOs are said to have flown over the lunar surface. Edwin Buzz Aldrin is said to have captured the unknown flying objects in several photographs.
What? Okay.
After Armstrong had stepped on the moon's surface, there was radio silence for 2 minutes. The official explanation of NASA justifies this with the circumstance that one of the 2 television cameras overheated, whereby the transmission to Earth broke off briefly. To this day, opinions are divided on the question of which images were withheld from the Earth's population during this period.
I mean, listen, I'm sure we don't have every single thing that they did. Let's just be honest here. Why would they deliver that? Like, if it was something absolutely crazy in some of these images, would they deliver it to the overall overwhelming, population? No, they wouldn't. Why would they?
Neil Armstrong never confirmed the rumors about the flying saucers. Despite this, many individuals are firmly convinced that the first moon...
Wait. He never confirmed the rumors, but you said he was the one that took it? So why would he? So then why are you saying it?
Landing was
Guys,
accompanied
bro,
by an eerie encounter of the third kind. Eerie knocks.
Okay.
In 2003, Yang Liwei advanced to become the first Chinese space traveler in history. However, the space mission aboard Shenzhou 5 was accompanied by an exceedingly strange incident. During a quiet night on October 16th, Yang Liwei suddenly noticed unexplained sounds that he simply could not place in any logical context. Later, the astronaut said that the sounds sounded like someone tapping the body of the spacecraft with a hammer, taking into
Maybe pressure, guys.
account the fact that space is a vacuum, which has no
Right.
conductive medium for sound. The Chinese report was initially dismissed as a misleading sensory illusion. All the more inexplicable, therefore, was the fact that 2 further Chinese astronauts on later missions heard similar knocking noises.
Build quality, pressure.
Galactic snake. Franklin Story Musgrave participated in a total of 6 space flights. There are few people who have left our home planet more often than this U.S. American. Between the years 1983 and 1996, Musgrave spent almost 54 days outside of Earth.
No,
The
thank you.
almost unbelievable story that the astronaut told in 1994 remains unforgotten to this day. The astronaut reported that on 2 of his missions he saw indefinable, snake-like objects in space. The objects were estimated to have been about 25 feet long. Beyond that, Musgrave is of the firm conviction that the universe bustles with the most diverse life forms. Essentially, the former astronaut believes there are innumerable civilizations in the universe, clearly more developed than mankind.
I mean, I'm not sure that we should be that ridiculous to believe that in all that vastness, it's just us. I'm not sure we should ever think that. Okay, I think that if there is something, it's very far. I think if we follow James Webb, if you guys even follow James Webb, you'll realize that there's been some weirdness happening lately. Make sure you check that out, guys. All right? So yeah, I don't think that we're alone. I'm not sure that we can. Again, I'm not sure we should be that ignorant to believe that it's just us in a sea of planets, right, and other celestial bodies. All right, think of grains of sand in the Sahara Desert, the Mojave Desert. Put them all together. There are more stars than that, bro.
Mysterious light phenomena. U.S. astronaut Leroy Chiao once said that it was the height of arrogance to assume that we humans were alone in the universe. This statement is supported by a mysterious incident that occurred in 2005. During the time in question, Chow was on duty for 6.5 months as commander of the International Space Station, as the astronaut was repairing some antennas about 230 miles above the Earth's surface.
Pass.
His gaze crossed an eerie light phenomenon that he simply could not explain. Specifically, he witnessed some luminous objects, arranged symmetrically to one another. The linear light formations then flew past Chow and disappeared into the infinite expanse of the universe. While many people are firmly convinced that the phenomena were inexplicable formations of galactic origin, other people argue that the phenomena actually had a terrestrial source.
Okay.
Strangely formed UFO.
Explain it.
When we think of a classic UFO from the science fiction world, we see in our mind's eye a typical flying saucer. The mysterious flying object that the two astronauts, Ed White and James McDivitt, saw over Hawaii had, however, nothing in common with this characteristic shape. The two men described a metallic object from whose fuselage inexplicable limb-like structures were sticking out. Glowing object. During his
Yeah, bro, on that last one, I'm not sure you really said anything.
astronaut activity, Musa Manaro spent 541 days in space altogether. However, one particular day in 1991,
Yeah, nah, guys, don't do that. Listen, we are not built for space travel. We're not. Like, nothing about how we are formed, all right, is meant for that. I want to know how that guy came back to Earth after 500-something days. I want to check his body. Well, I mean, I personally don't want to check his body, right? But I want to see this man walk.
was to be exceedingly different from the rest.
And he's probably younger than us, if that makes any sense. Like, put him next to someone his exact age before he left Earth. Guys, I'm almost positive he's younger than that person.
Of the space traveler's work assignments. While Manaro was on his way to the Mir space station, he spotted an elongated structure, which he had the presence of mind to capture with his camera. In the pictures, It is clear to see how the bright object seems to light up again and again.
Right, because it's moving and most likely it's reflecting the sun, and we're going to go ahead and call that space trash.
While the official explanations call the filmed structure nothing but ordinary space debris, Manaro has always stubbornly denied this
I swear I didn't see this, guys.
thesis. Gordon Cooper's sightings. When NASA introduced the first 7 astronauts in its history on April 9th, Gordon Cooper was the youngest of all the would-be space travelers. On May 15, 1963, the time had finally come. Cooper made his first spaceflight as part of the Mercury Atlas 9 mission. 2 years later, the American was also to be part of the core team of the Gemini program. Even more memorable than the space flights, however, is an eerie apparition Cooper had glimpsed as early as 1951. While the then Air Force pilot was on a routine flight, he is said to have suddenly encountered a gigantic collection of UFOs. However, this was not the last eerie sighting that the American was to witness. While Cooper was aboard the Mercury capsule in May 1963, during the last of a total of 22 orbits of the Earth, he noticed a shimmering green object that seemed to be heading toward him at an extreme speed. The astronaut's report was also confirmed by the records of the Muchia tracking station in Western Australia, which located the object on its radars. Unknown object on the lunar surface.
Guys, I'm so glad that we no longer call UFOs UFOs. I think the term, or just like the abbreviation, has just been completely bombarded with nonsense. Keep in mind, anything that cannot be identified is a UFO. Okay, just understand, if we don't know what it is, it's a UFO, right? And I'm glad that they've changed, how they refer to it.
Alan Bean became the 4th man in history to walk on the surface of the moon on November 19th. The astronaut, who completed his 2 space flights between the years 1969 and 1973, placed a special isotope battery on the Earth satellite during his lunar landing, which would provide the necessary energy for later experiments. After about
Which isotope is it? So obviously, how that works is it's some type of radioactive isotope, and they basically are waiting for it to decay. And as it decays, it produces like a small electrical charge. It's basically converting this isotope into energy, basically. But I would like to know which isotope it is.
About 7 hours and 45 minutes, the U.S. American finally returned aboard his lunar module Intrepid. During his moon journey, meanwhile, Alan says he saw something shining on the surface of the Earth satellite, which reminded him of earthly shoe leather. Until today, nobody knows what this mysterious object was about. Okay. Alan Bean died on May 26, 2018, at the age of 86. Now it's your turn. Which report
That's a long life, guys.
amazed you the most? We're already looking forward to reading your thoughts, feedback, and suggestions on today's video in the comments.
All right, so the one that basically stood out to me the most would probably be the first one, mainly because I just cannot understand what that is. Russian cosmonaut goes into space. He sees this golden object. It then somehow splits into two golden objects. I don't even know what that is, right? Generally, when I speak about how I would think that we should, engage in any type of space travel, it always comes down to me referring to some type of self-replicating robot. Okay. Being that the human body, I don't think we should be, traveling long distances, because that's not, we need gravity, guys. All right. But I do think that if we are to do it, we do need to create some type of technology that does have the ability to self-replicate. Right? And what that sounds like is something that self-replicated. It got to its point of origin, or not point of origin, its destination, right? Then it split itself, and the other one can go somewhere else while this one here stays and monitors this planet, right? That's how I think we should jump into space travel. And I'm not referring to like Stargate replicators. Those are bad, all right? But they have kind of the right idea, but they're bad. We need to figure out a way to control them. All right. But if we just give simple prompts, I do think the AI that we could build into something like that would have the ability to monitor, replicate, and then send off to another location, another destination, at least. Because I think that would be the smartest way to explore space. And what it sounds like is some other place, some other being, or a group of beings, realized that their bodies also needed some type of atmosphere along with gravity, a consistent atmosphere and a consistent level of gravity. And they were like, we need self-replicating robots. All right, maybe that's what that cosmonaut saw. He saw it hitting its destination, replicating, then separating. Think about it. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.